Okay guys, so today we're talking about cloning. We're just going to do the bare basics. This was a photo that popped up on the All About That Plunder Atlas. This one is the finished product that was put in, and I just wanted to point out a few things that you want to try to avoid when cloning. Number one, you want to try to blend this a little better. You can still see the harsh lines going through here, the horizontal lines, and one big issue is the sand spot here. You can see it replicated all the way up. When cloning, one of the biggest things you want to watch for is not having a detail that's only found in one part of the photo. So that sand spot is right here. So you want to avoid that spot when using your clone tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I brought in this picture. Number one, if you have this picture that you come across, ask them to upload the actual picture and not a screenshot, because this is already at 100%. And when you start to zoom in here, it's going to be really hard to try to clone out these pixels and still be able to see what you're working with, because it's a really low quality photo. So when I do cloning, I like to start with the blurred background of the same photo. So I basically brought in the photo and then I dragged it down, I duplicated a layer, and then I applied a Gaussian blur to this. And then I'm also going to come down here, and we want a little more of the sandy background at the top. So I'm going to just copy, paste, and I'm going to move this layer up here to give me kind of a background to what I'm working with. Okay, and it's going to be cropped out most of the way, so you don't really have to worry about how good it looks. Okay, so now we're going to put Okay, so now we're going to go here, and we have that underlying layer now. So if I were to change the opacity of this, you would be able to see that layer come through. So that's just going to give us a nice even tone to work with. So on our clone stamp, basically the way the clone stamp works, you can come up here, you can change the hardness of it. Let me show you the... Okay, so this stroke down here is going to show you how hard or soft your stroke is. So obviously the smaller you go, the more fuzzy it gets, the lighter it will be, the higher, the more definite the line is. So we want to go an in-between for this first layer of cloning. And yes, I did say first layer. So let's go down here and we're going to work on this one. So you use different keys depending on what system you're working with in Photoshop. On a MacBook, it is the Alt Option key. So say I want this area right here across the top. So if I do this, and I am copying that area. So let me copy right here at the top. And then see how I bring this up here? It's going to give me that line. You see where the crossbar is? That's where it's taking the image from, okay? So I'm just going to try to go all the way across here, and we're going to blend this in, so don't worry about if anything looks funny or... Okay, and we're not going to worry about her because she's going to be cropped out anyways. So one thing to avoid, don't go down and just press and go crazy, because while sometimes it works, sometimes you have this really replicated ugly spot and it's actually going to come up really obvious that you cloned it. So just keep working with different sections at a time. So you have this dark sandy spot here. Let's go ahead and make it into an area there, and we'll blend it together. You have a lighter spot here going up through the sand. So let's go ahead and keep that. Sorry. Let's go ahead and keep that going with a definite ridge, and so it looks like the ridge is going all the way up through. You have another ridge here, so copy that, go up, come back down. So find your actual things that you need to start with. So right here, there's kind of a footprint maybe, kind of go up through the edge here. and tone it down. Okay. And then say you want just some nice clean sand. Maybe this spot over here hasn't been touched as much. So you could come down here, and if it looks okay, you could just fill this in with some wetter sand. The problem with this is since they're on a beach, you have to be careful because it is possible that if she's at the front of the beach and this is drier sand, that there wouldn't be wet sand behind. But for a 2-inch image, this might actually be one of the easier ways to clone in the top of this. So, okay, so one of the things coming through right here, it copied this hole that is clearly right here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to click here and cover that hole up. So let's click here. Let's keep going through. We're going to blend it in later. We just want a good sandy layer to go here. Oh, my bad, guys. You don't want to flip. Oh, and be careful where your crossbar is because you also don't want her name on the top too. And you want to avoid anything distinguishing, so we want to keep it just wet sand up here. Okay, and so now that we have that layer in, we can come back here and we can do a few more ridges to add texture. And we want to make sure that that line that we kind of can still see, you want to make sure that that is completely out. Make sure you don't have that in there. Okay, so you can darken up this sand a little bit. What you can do here is I have this set to 82. You can go down even just a little bit more, and you can fill in anything that looks odd. So like right now, maybe another ridge needs to come up here. So let's copy this area and let's kind of just add some texture in here. Let's go up here, add some texture. Okay. So that's probably going to be cropped out, but let's see. Let's get a guideline here. What you can do to set your guideline is create a new layer. Go to the ellipse tool, make sure it's set to shape, because you can just turn this layer off after you're done. And we're going to see, I'm sorry guys. Let's make it smaller. Okay, so we can get half of a foot in to that. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to set this circle to an opaque, so that way we can see exactly what we need to fill in still. So let's go back down to our background copy. And let's make sure, let's actually make our circle black on this background so we can see exactly what we need to fill in. So there's a small area down here that we still need to work with, and there's a top left section that we need to fix right here where this hand is looking. So go down here to the bottom, get your clone stamp tool, select your background copy, and you are going to highlight and come down and fill in where this circle is. And then once you have that done, just like basic layer, go up here, set your opacity higher, and do another because you don't want a harsh line there at all. Okay, and now the one thing we need to fix is his hand, so select an area here and go up and out. We still got a hint of that there. The hand is actually blurry in this photo, so there's that. Okay, so now we have a pretty decent image. It is sand, so we'll work with it. Like I said before, anytime you have cell phone photos, go ahead and fix them up a little bit. Since this is a sand photo, up the contrast just a little bit to really bring out the base layer. You can turn off your circle here for a moment so you can see what you're working with. Image adjustments, vibrance, always up it a little bit. Okay, so let's bring in our circle as our guide for our ellipse tool. Sorry guys, my computer hates me. Okay. I probably should have trimmed this photo up to begin with so I wouldn't have my computer freaking out like that. I want to say that's going to be right. Okay, so now from here, you just make it into a circle, select inverse, delete. Go ahead and select your other layers where you have remnants going on from the background. We're going to come to the top one. We can do a little bit of blending, a little bit of opacity, but if you were to put this down, you're still going to see that that background layer is underneath there. That's just helping your clone tool where I had the opacity set a little lower. So it gives it something besides white to shine through. From there, you can go to Image and Trim. Select, deselect, and then you have the image that you're working with. So this still isn't a perfect job. You can still see some obvious like cloning going on, especially right here in this area where I didn't really take the time to do it. But it does avoid, it does avoid replicating spots that you don't want to, okay? So hopefully that gives you a good idea of just the basics of cloning in Photoshop. I'll go ahead and post this image underneath the video so you can see. If you have any questions, comment below.